Detroit, on Tuesday, November 4th, a general election is scheduled to elect the mayor and other city officials. Please return your absentee ballot by mail, drop box, or at the Department of Elections. Polls open at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. You can ride the DDOT buses to the polls for free. To find your polling place, visit our website or call 313-876-0190. So let your voice be heard and vote.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan, and yes, it has been just yet another very, very busy week. We are joined today with Detroit media veteran and podcaster Guy Gordon. Welcome to the show, Guy.
Thank you very much.
Our troika of lawyers, Steve Fishman, Joel Sklar, and Bill Seikaly. We are missing today our labor and community activist and friend, Barb Ingalls, who is traveling up north. So, Barb, hope you're having fun as the leaves are changing over there, as the rest of the world is changing down here. Veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and of course, co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel.
Apparently, I am the only one flying the estrogen flag in this group today. So,
we have faith you can hold.
We have some debate about that, Nancy.
You can say that with real confidence, because my testosterone levels are so low.
I know what you mean, Guy.
You know, in the interest of you sharing, I won't. But where do you go from that? Well, you know, probably the best segue from that is talking about President Trump addressing the Knesset after the Gaza ceasefire was implemented. And I see that Bill is already shaking off what other hormones he may have in absolute frustration. So, Bill, what are your thoughts about the address?
Well, only because I try to do this show at some level of being informed did I watch this, and it was one of the most embarrassing and disgusting performances that I've ever seen anyone do. But for a president of the United States to get before the government in front of the Knesset and talk about America in the way that he talked about it, and talk about how America was just 9 months ago a failing country, and go on and on and on about that, I found to be incredibly offensive. Not to mention the fact that he's asking the president of Israel to pardon Bibi. He was so out of line and so non-presidential and so offensive, in my opinion.
Shocking.
And this notion that it took 3,000 years, but he was able to solve this problem.
So, Guy,
one of the religions involved wasn't even created 3,000 years ago.
Actually, two of them were created.
Please let us not assume that any reality is tethered to anything that Trump says. I agree.
So, Guy, I mean, Trump's speech was slightly shorter than the time between the destruction of the first and the second temples, but I thought what was interesting is that, first of all, even the Israeli officials were speaking in English, not Hebrew, which then begged the question of who was the audience. And then there was this repeated hat tip over to Miriam Adelson, a widow of Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, who, from what I saw, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost as though Trump was admitting that his entire policy over Israel was influenced by her and her purse. And then also kind of threw this really interesting and I thought troubling thing out there saying, I'm not sure if she's more loyal to America or Israel. I have a feeling she loves you more. And I mean, I was just sort of blown back by the candor by which he said it. What did you think?
Well, like everything that Trump does, it was all about Trump, wasn't it? I mean, this interesting piece of reporting this morning saying that the pressure that he exerted on Netanyahu was not political. It was more positive. I'll help get you reelected. I'm very popular in Israel, and I'll help make these corruption charges go away. Because we know the minute the ceasefire takes hold, the pressure increases on Netanyahu to A, be accountable for the fact that he ignored intelligence reports that this could happen, and B, the corruption problem that he has. So I think Trump smartly used that as leverage, and we can, we got to give a tip of the hat to him on that, but it was still all about Trump, which means, Bill, to your point, demonizing the Biden administration as being the enemies of Israel, which is farthest from the truth. Biden, in fact, some Democrats are saying, hey, he didn't apply enough pressure to Netanyahu.
And the most amazing part, Guy, I mean, I agree with everything you said, except that I don't think he limited it to Biden. I mean,
he mentioned Obama in the same breath. So yeah,
he talked about the entire history of our country being like this. I mean, until Trump, apparently we were just scum. I mean, he doesn't like Reagan. He doesn't like anybody, not Trump. And look, I used to be.
I don't even think he likes Trump 45
to Hitler. I think this is
That's a good point, Saeed.
Mein Kampf. I really do. I mean, I see him trying to pull in all the levers of control and power around him. That's what's going on.
Plus, let's not forget that not unlike the attack on the Iranian nuclear facility, he pronounced Hamas dead and completely destroyed. And 24 hours later, we had an execution in the center of Gaza. So, I mean, he also appears to be profoundly out of touch.
Allan.
Never in touch.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute.
Okay.
My
I was going to say everything you guys were saying in terms of, I mean, it was so cringeworthy. And then for him to say, like, whatever, 3,000 years, it's now peace. You guys, Israel, you can live in peace. What about the West Bank? What about the aftermath of Gaza? What about dealing with the complications of Gaza? I mean, he made it sound like, hey, all is good. I got to get back to give Charlie Kirk an award. So see you guys later. You guys are going to have a great life. I mean, it was just so cringeworthy. At some point, I just said, I can't watch this anymore.
Well, he did leave on a high note, right? Like George Costanza. So, Steve.
I think, like I always say, I think we have to keep in mind who we're dealing with. This is not a person who actually bothers to learn anything about anything. And he's run his entire life, like almost anybody with a criminal mind. What's in it for me? That's the only thing he's thinking about it, anything. What's in it for me? And we all know what's in it for him. According to him, he wants to win, somehow thinks he's entitled to a Nobel Peace Prize. And that's all that's in it for him. To pretend or to think that he's given any thought at all as to where we go from here is just completely inconsistent with how this guy has been through his entire life. And to ignore, I mean, Hamas did that for a reason. Hamas did it for an absolute reason. It wasn't just the executions. There's a lot more going on there.
Right.
The Washington Post had a fantastic article about everything that's going on. You have these clans and these families who had been sticking up or standing up to them. And now what are they having? They're having a little civil war of their own in Gaza. And at the end of the day, who suffers from all of this? The Gazans, the regular people who've been suffering since Hamas took over the place. Trump doesn't care about any of that. And I'm always astounded that people actually think that age 79 or whatever he is, he's going to change his stripes. He's never going to change his stripes. He's never going to learn anything about whatever it is that he's dealing with. He only thinks in terms of the same way he did in his real estate business. Why did he go bankrupt 4 times or 5 times? Because, oh, yeah, it's a great idea. I'll build some casinos. He never thought about what goes down the road after that. And that's basically what's going on here, too. And to think that he gives a flying fuck about the Israelis, the Gazans, he doesn't care about anything other than himself and his own pockets and what's in it for me. I am telling you, that's how you can best figure out what the guy is doing. Just think like a criminal, because that's what he is.
But can we honestly say that any other president that achieved this would have been taking the victory lap too?
Well, it was a consolation victory lap, Guy, because since he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, Netanyahu gave him a golden dove. to sit next to his golden pager, which he gave him last year.
See,
Is that like the old pickle finger of fate award that they used to give on Laugh In?
Right.
Good point. Look at it.
Okay, so basically that was a reference from the 1960s to anybody who was born after 1960. So thank you.
The color of my hair. It's
I got you.
I agree with everything Steve said. I'd go a step farther, Steve. The question isn't whether or not we expect that Trump will change. My question is, when will the American people get it? When will the Republican Party get it? When will his enablers get it? Because, you know, if you read the article about the interview with Amy Coney Barrett, she says, you know, the Supreme Court has limited powers, but we don't control the purse. We don't control the military. She's almost saying, and this was the conclusion of the article, she's almost saying, gee, we may not be able to control Trump anymore. And until the rest of us get together and decide we can, we're going to be in real trouble. And it may be too late at this point.
Look, the only people that are standing up and criticizing him right now are those on the farthest right. It's the Laura Loomers, it's the Tucker Carlsons who are anti-Israel. God rest his soul. If Charlie Kirk were alive, he was still backing off on support of Israel. Yeah. So, you're starting to see a schism in MAGA.
I'm talking about supporting Trump taking over the levers of all levels of power.
Right.
That's my concern. And I candidly just don't get, and I don't think I ever will, why the American people and why the people who could do something about this aren't.
Steve.
Well, that's why we ought to be really concerned about this case in front of the Supreme Court about the Voting Rights Act, because this is really kind of the last straw. And I agree with you guys when you're reading the summaries of Amy Coney Barrett's. I mean, this is a Supreme Court justice basically abdicating. I mean, the only thing that stopped any of this stuff since his second term began has been the courts. I mean, the Republican Party, the Republican legislators, of all people, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going nuts on him about this business with the healthcare thing. And there was a very interesting article. That's a different subject, so I don't want to talk about that now. If it comes up, there's an interesting article in the Post about that. But that's to me, this is really, really critical, because it could be any number of seats, right? Which could keep us from flipping the House, and we're not going to flip the Senate. So, you know, that's where they're going.
Nancy, is that 6 or 15? 6. Still don't know. Oh,
sorry. The asshole who lives behind me loves to blow his leaves on Friday at 11:30. So I think he must, and he doesn't use like a polite electric blower, which is obnoxious enough but not that bad. He uses the gas kind, so it's like really super loud. No, that's 6. I think it was. They said they could easily. Republicans in the Deep South could easily pick up 6 seats if they did away with the majority black districts. And here comes the blower again. But anyway, they've shown that they will do whatever they have to. I mean, nobody. It's not even an original observation anymore to say that all of this military action in cities like Chicago and Los Angeles and Portland isn't softening people up to see troops on the street when the elections roll around. So. I've been very pessimistic lately. I feel like we're not coming back from this.
Speaking of troops on the street, we do have a lengthy video here.
None. Yeah. There is no chaos in Chicago. There was no chaos in Los Angeles. They're pretending there's chaos as a pretense for a military takeover. But I'm open-minded. If there is chaos in these cities Trump calls hellholes, let's see it and decide if something needs to be done about it. So when we put out the word, we ask those of you living in them to show us your hellholes. And before I share this, I want to warn you, this is not for the faint of heart.
Hey, Jimmy, this is Kapil reporting from the hellhole that is Chicago. You can see behind me there's about 40,000 people that are being forced to run for their lives. They're going to run 26 miles. There's people all around them, jeering them, making fun of them. Some are even offering them bananas.
We're in downtown Chicago. There's radical musicians playing on the street.
It's getting scary out here.
The bushes themselves are turning on ICE agents. The houses are turning gay. Send help.
We're really, really frightened. We're just trying to survive. And I want to say the restaurant where my husband and I are eating is out of the crab rangoon.
I'm here in Chicago where the carnage continues. The latest, our beloved $4 car wash has turned into a $5 car wash as our community grows a bit more unrecognizable by the day and Tifa wins.
I wonder now that those people who Trump wooed in Dearborn and Hamtramck last year don't think that he could bring military action into places that others call a no-go zone, even, of course, falsely. Joel.
Yeah, I just want to note that, we've kind of crossed over to fascism. I don't think there's really a debate anymore.
You are correct.
We have American troops, military troops in American cities. And if you're watching what I'm watching, they're snatching 15-year-olds off the street. There's these thugs of ICE. They have no training. We don't know who the hell they are. They're most likely felons themselves. This is terrifying. And if you watch videos, if you actually see what's going on, these are just people on a sidewalk who suddenly get stopped, not even asking for papers, it's just being taken. My guess is there's some sort of bounty system. Maybe there's some incentive to grab them.
But Joel, I mean, the question is also the videos that we're seeing are from citizens. Where is the broader media when it comes to covering these things?
Yes.
And this is also an issue about where's the outrage in the media with what's going on with the government shutdown continuing with the narrative. You've got a judge who's at least blocking Trump's effort to fire government workers, but we don't know, as Amy Comey Barrett seems to indicate, whether they'll really do anything about it.
I think the media is very coupled with the administration. Quite frankly, the media, they feed off each other. I don't see any strength in the media per se. The Guardian, the New York Times, but I'm not seeing any. This is a symbiotic relationship at this point. You need citizens.
And the Guardian's a British newspaper, Joel.
Yeah,
and the British newspaper.
The news and the Free
Press. I love
Press
the Guardian, but whatever it is,
are now operating out of co-working spaces. Okay, and part of that is a recognition that it's a lot easier to work from home than it used to. But when people say, "Where's the media?" It's like, hey, we were all laid off or bought out or otherwise kicked to the curb over the last 20 years.
Again, this is
looking at filming are getting arrested. I mean, this is not just restricted.
Oh, wait. Joel, was he or was he not the 15-year-old that we've seen so much of? And I've got back from the Galapagos. I told Allan I've been a bit unplugged. But was he or was he not throwing eggs at ICE officers?
Oh my God. I don't know if he was or wasn't. I have no clue. I don't know what was going on.
I mean, there is going to be. You're right. I'm not saying that you're wrong, and I'm troubled by what I see as well. But if they're instigating in that way, yeah, they're going to get there's going to be action taken against them.
I understand,
but a priest who's out there who's getting picked with pepper balls from an ICE agent on the rooftop.
Right. The guy who got squirted, the guy in the inflatable frog suit.
The 15-year-old who committed crime is an exception. These people, it's not based on probable cause. It's based on brown skin.
Yeah,
and that is an anathema to who we are. That is, we're in that fascist state, guys. Welcome to
you it. You and I are close enough to the same age. You and I are close enough to the same age. I'm betting I'm a couple of years older than you. But what I'm seeing is the beginning of what I saw back in the 60s in the anti-war movement. When you have this kind of power and authority trying to assert itself, you're going to get reactions. And yeah, people are going to even do things like throw eggs. But throwing eggs is nothing like...
It's a form of protest, I understand.
But that's and other things. And let me give you the best evidence, I think, of the real problem here. The judge in the Chicago case, who has issued a restraining order about what the federalized troops are doing there, has now said, I'm not so sure you're not violating my order. I'm going to require you guys to wear body cameras and turn them on.
Right.
We are now in a position where federal judges have to do that to get their orders complied with. This is an indication that the people who have the military under their control are out of control. And unfortunately, I don't see any way around this. I'm nervous about the next couple of demonstrations. People are going to react. It's going to get out of hand if
they do, Bill, don't feed the narrative that there's lawlessness in American streets, because that's how it's going to be turned against you.
No, I get it. The problem is any lawlessness in the streets are caused by the lawlessness by the military and the police. That's what's going on.
It seems like the sequence of causation is important here. Allan.
My niece has a friend here in this couple she's friends with, and the guy he's Mexican, living here, has U.S. citizenship, and they move, and they have kids, and they moved back to Mexico because he did not feel safe walking the streets here with all that's going on. And we're seeing reports where the ICE agents are going to elementary schools and nursery schools. I don't know if they're looking for parents and kids or whatever, but they're terrorizing America. It's like, what has happened where, look, we don't always embrace the government 100% and say, we love you, you're our protector. But all in all, we look at the government as our protector. But now it's like the government is, they're creating this enemy thing where Trump says, I'm going to cut the budget of Democrat programs. I'm going to, send it to democratically run. It's a war.
Well, there's no acknowledgement, Allan, that those programs service Americans of all political stripes.
Right, exactly.
Well, on that partisanship, I mean, we have the situation now that Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is appearing in ads that are playing at airports that blame the Democrats for the government shutdown, which is in violation of the Hatch Act, which actually proscribes the ability to politicize such messages. Wayne County Airport Authority has said that they do not want to run the ads, and other airports around the country have been resisting this, including Grand Rapids, Gerald R. Ford International Airport.
Yeah, conservative old Grand Rapids.
Which is getting less so, actually.
Yeah, I know. It's more purple now than...
Well, Wayne County posted this, says, attention, the views expressed in this TSA controlled video do not represent the views of Wayne County Airport Authority. The Wayne County Airport Authority does not engage in partisan politics. Thank you. I've been reporting on this, and they were like, yes, we've asked the TSA to stop running them on these monitors that we have no control over. I reached out to the TSA yesterday, and almost, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have been shocked. They sent me a statement, and the statement says, if the Democrats basically would get their shit together, we wouldn't have to run these ads. There's no apology for it all. They're not backing down, so.
Hey, look, I feel sorry for the TSA agents. They're doing it. I just came through twice. They're doing yeoman's work. They're doing it without a paycheck. God love them. Let's just give them a little love here. The other thing is that I guess I find it a little bit cynical and a little bit silly when people start saying, well, this violates the Hatch Act. The Hatch Act gets violated routinely, and it never is enforced. Let's start enforcing it. And let's enforce with in an even-handed manner, because it kind of depends whoever is in the executive branch, whether, who gets hoisted on their petard.
Right.
Have you seen ads like this before, Guy? I mean,
never.
Not even. Yeah.
Never.
I mean, not
on the, and on the web. Look, I'm trying to get I've been out of work since April. I'm trying to get my Medicare Part B activated because someone screwed up, and now there has been another screw up in the meantime, and I'm still trying to get it. You call the Pontiac office, you can't get the phone answered. Mm-hmm. I got a lovely lady in Sterling Heights who's probably working without pay, who tried to go to bat for me, and the bottom line is I got to wait another 60 days in the middle of a government shutdown, and I got a lot of tests I'm supposed to get. So, it is frustrating. And yeah, I've never seen anything like that, nor have I ever gone on a website basically that turns out to be an a partisan ad.
I mean, I just remember that I'm actually nostalgic for the old days when I was just subjected to a secondary search, but with the shutdown, they won't even give me that anymore. So it just shows you how the budget is affected. I mean, I miss the love. Well, it looks like the president has another theater of foreign policy attention, because it looks like the tinsel is now coming from the Southern Hemisphere. Trump has authorized covert CIA action in Venezuela to occur not just at sea, terrorizing fishermen, but also going after sites on land, including the deployment of B-52 and other bombers nearby, and also deployment of about 10,000 troops into the Caribbean. Are we seriously going to go to war? Well, it's not really going to war, but are we going to invade Venezuela?
I think that Trump, say real quickly, and then Bill, I think Trump loves it that he's found a way to kill people, getting around the law here. He would do the same. Look, if he could have ICE agents shoot people right on the spot, he would have ordered that. And so here it's like, oh my God, I get to kill these people. And guess what? It's okay. Bill.
I'm just curious. I mean, look, you do tickle the wire, Alan, and Guy, you've been covering these stories for years and years. A covert operation that Trump announces that he's
What is the first rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club.
It's like the secret bombing of Cambodia, you know.
No
secrets to the Cambodians.
My older brother, as Alan knows, used to be with the CIA as one of the inspector generals. And, you know,
Inspectors General, Bill.
Inspectors General, you're right. You're right. I always hated that one. But
I'm with you on that.
When the idea that you announce what the CIA is doing and what you've given them permission to do, how can you call it covert when you're doing that? This is an overt attempt to invade. I think.
Right, but isn't it then a very transparent ploy on the part of Trump to try to force Maduro into exile? So you and I may not like his methods, but it's clear what he's trying to do. And let's also be clear: is how many times have we managed to purge one of these guys and we got somebody worse in replacement?
But I think, Guy, it's also about what are the reasons. I mean, we have been going after Venezuelan presidents for quite a while, including Hugo Chavez. The thing that actually is in common is the one permanent thing, which is Venezuelan oil, and Venezuela not willing to go ahead and kowtow to American and other Western corporate interests on that. And I think that that's what really needs to be a bit more transparent. Maybe they'll go ahead and update the videos at the airport and give us all the plans that the CIA are planning on doing when it comes to invading.
How about going a step further, and if you are good enough to track a ship that is allegedly carrying drugs in the Caribbean, that why can't you follow it to wherever it's going to drop those drugs off and roll up the whole network?
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
I don't think
you're working in concert with DEA. Let's follow through on the investigation and figure out where they're going and get the other bad guys, if they are really bad guys.
The problem with that guy, of course, is that the DEA is working without getting paid. And I don't think that Trump has had that Tom Clancy novel read to him to that chapter yet. So,
we need Harrison Ford to do a video.
Bigger issue here. Guy raises a bigger issue that I think is important. We do have the means to solve a lot of our problems. What we don't have is the will or the desire, for whatever reason, to solve those problems. You know, we have this terrible gun violence problem in our schools or in our country. We have the ability to solve it. We know how to do these things. Hell, you can put automatic locks on guns. You can put fingerprint things that would only allow one person to shoot a gun. There's all kinds of solutions. We don't have the will. We don't have the desire. And I think that there's a lot of things that contribute to it. I think Guy's right. We could solve the drug crisis. It's just being used as the excuse for doing something that Trump does want to do.
Like, how about lessening the demand here in this country by having more treatments for addicts and instead?
Wait, Alan, let's be realistic. That would cost money. That would require us to have taxes on the rich. And we just voted to give them bigger tax cuts.
I think the biggest danger that I'm seeing here, putting all that aside, is these extrajudicial killings, assassinations of people without due process. I'm not sure, I don't know if running drugs is a capital offense, quite frankly. We don't know who these people are. We have no idea as Americans if they're guilty of anything.
There's no evidence. There's zero evidence that's been presented on this.
Joel, our people are citizens or just innocent people who are, we don't know. But these are war crimes. You cannot do this. And the precedent you set for this is that you're going to be subject to it one day. We're setting the rules of engagement and taking them steps further than we really have before. And those rules of engagement are going to apply to us because we're going to set that standard. Yeah.
The neutering of Congress is going to come back to haunt Republicans.
Yep.
The expansion of the executive branch is going to come back to haunt Republicans, but it's short-term thinking.
What they will
and
try
I'm probably the only recovering Republican on the panel, I would imagine.
What they will try to do is what the Wisconsin legislature did when they lost their majority, and they used the entire lame duck session to essentially rewrite the rule book and all the things that they had been doing. It's like suddenly you can't do that anymore. And they passed legislation. They did all kinds of rat fucking. And so, when you say this can get used on you someday, this presupposes that the people who are currently doing this are decent people, and they're not. They're monsters. And I don't have any problem saying that anymore. They're bad people.
But does that also presuppose that the Democrats would not be decent people? And it seems as though they may not actually deploy what the Republicans are.
I don't know. I mean, Chuck Schumer says, the Republican Party will be fine once they pass the the turd.
No, but name me a Democrat who would be vindictive. Okay, we'll
I see what you're saying. Well, right, yeah. I know.
I think Republican side would say that Adam Schiff wasn't vindictive. He was proactive in trying to take down a president with a bullshit investigation, with what they would say.
No, guys.
That was a different kind of vindictiveness upon his election.
That's true, but that investigation was started by Hillary Clinton. So let's get the right Democrat there. Ellen, let's go to commercial.
Hello, Detroit. On Tuesday, November 4th, a general election is scheduled to elect the mayor and other city officials. Please return your absentee ballot by mail, drop box, or at the Department of Elections. Polls open at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. You can ride the DDOT buses to the polls for free. To find your polling place, visit our website or call 313-876-0190. So let your voice be heard and vote.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Joel, I want to pick up on a point that you brought up in the first half, and that is about all of this when it comes to invasions of countries and all. I mean, are we as a society just acclimated to this? And again, just to be fair, this is not just one side of the aisle. My Lai massacre happened under LBJ. Obama had a 16-year-old kid killed by drone in Yemen, the son of Anwar al-Awlaki, who himself, to all accounts, wasn't even a member of Al-Qaeda or ISIS. But and by the way, he was actually a U.S. citizen, unlike the people that were killed in My Lai. So the idea then that we seem to let the pitch sail by when it comes to these as being part of the John Wayne America, there's a history to this, isn't there?
There is. There's a history of American aggression. I mean, there's no denial of that. Imperialism. I mean, that is a legit. That is a history. And what's strange is you had Trump, I think, campaigning on America first and withdrawing, and that's the last thing he's really doing. He's not withdrawing. He's attacking foreign nations. He is not. I thought the America first idea was going to be more isolationist. We have done that maybe economically in some ways, but that hasn't been the case at all. It's been very expansive. We've been doing things that I never thought we would do, in foreign policy.
Well, that's to Saeed's point that he may not be a fan of Trump #1. This is a totally different Donald Trump.
I never thought that when this America First pitch was about isolationism. I mean, anybody who thinks that Trump is up for small government isn't paying attention to who Donald Trump is. I mean, Trump loves to spend money. He just wants to spend poor people's money, and he doesn't want rich people taxed. He wants to privatize things, and but he's into big government. He wants it to be his big government.
But he doesn't like the campaign was, we're not going to be the policemen of the world anymore. Right. That's not what our job is, and we are the policemen of the world now. I mean,
Joe, I understand the hypocrisy here, but I think if you listen to Trump, we're not going to be the policemen of the world, but we're going to go in and kick ass whenever we think it's necessary.
Well, but we're going to seek regime change in Venezuela. We're going to send $40 billion to Argentina, even while we pat Doge on the back for, it's
ridiculous. That is so ridiculous, that Argentina thing. I mean, this is like, how many financial meltdowns has Argentina had in the last 30 years? Several. It's
almost as many as Greece.
Pardon me?
Almost as many as Greece.
Yeah, I mean, Argentina they have. It's funny, when I was a journalism fellow at Michigan 20 some years ago, we had our fellowship director had a history of being a correspondent in Argentina, and so we went to Argentina, and we had Argentines who would come up and study with us in Michigan. All of them had their money in European banks, and they would carry debit cards. I remember going into Best Buy in Ann Arbor because somebody wanted to buy a laptop, and she had a debit card on a bank in Spain. I mean, it's just, this is what they do in Argentina. We would go through the shops and look at these insanely cheap goods that were quality goods, but Argentina was going through yet another financial crisis, and it's been like that for years. And the idea that we're going to bail them out while we're closing rural hospitals, Argentina? Are you kidding me? I mean,
maybe if the CEO of all those regional hospitals, was kind of fascistic, authoritarian, and had bad hair, maybe Trump would be appealed to that. Well, actually, Nancy, did your friend apply for the El Geek Squad special protection on what she bought? So here's one, and we were talking about the media earlier. NBC has announced that they will be laying off several people, but particularly within the sectors that would impact Black, Asian American, Latino, and LGBTQ diversity teams. I mean, this process of the decimation of the media has been underway for quite a while. Nancy, you kind of mentioned that people are sharing space here, but now we're just removing entire demographics from their point of view or a certain level of representation being there. I mean, is this just simply the opening shot of something that's going to have a ripple effect across media?
Everything is. Look at all these faces in this panel right here. You are the youngest, and how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
Oh wow! As well, since I didn't share before on my hormones, I'll share about my years. I am 58 years old. Thank you very much.
You're 58. Okay, and you are the youngest person here. All right, on this panel. This is
when we show Bill's old picture.
What you are looking?
Come on, no.
What you don't do it, Allan. What you are looking at is the face of the main.
It never gets old. It just doesn't.
You are looking at the face.
Beverly Watts. That one's for you.
Okay. You are looking at the face of the mainstream media readership and viewership right here. Okay. Right. I just for the hell of it, I've started watching like Jeopardy again. It's all pharmaceutical ads. When I listen to WJR, which I try not to do very often, it's ads for.
So you're the reason.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I never listen to it very much, so you can't pin this on me. But lately, I'm trying to kind of keep up with what the enemy is talking about, and so I sometimes will switch between WJR and that crazier talk station at the other end of the dial. But it's all ads for reverse mortgages and retirement planning and all this stuff. It's like
drugs. Don't forget
drugs. Oh yeah,
we also have foodstuffs for your bunker.
Well, that's the crazier station. But my point is, and I think I had one when I started this rant, is that there's no, when you talk about they're laying off the young people beat or the gay people beat at NBC News. It's like those people aren't listening to NBC in the first place. I mean, the kind of people who are interested in that, which is to say gay people or young people, they're getting their news from fucking influencers on TikTok. And, you talk about a Tower of Babel. It's like, that's what the media has become. And they blame us for it. Okay. Well, the reason we do that is because we don't trust you anymore. And it's like, fuck you. You just didn't like what we were reporting. So don't give me that bullshit.
I don't disagree with some of
my language.
Some you're saying, but I want to counter this by saying,
wait a minute, which time?
The social media, the social media, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. Where the fuck are they getting the news from?
From us, yes.
Mainstream media, and they're repackaging it. And,
yes.
And so people say the mainstream media is not relevant, but they're feeding the beast out there.
Yes.
So they have to figure out.
Yeah, when we go away, they're going to have to figure out how to pick up a reporter's notebook and a pencil and take a few notes and figure this out, and they never will.
Some of the young reporters, they just want to rely on the internet now. They want to
rely
on social media, grabbing quotes from social media and stuff like that. They don't talk to people. They don't have.
To be clear, we should point out that MEC is cutting loose CNBC and MSNBC, so it's no longer feeding those organizations. It's going to downsize. It's going to downsize across the board. I guess my question, Nancy, to you is, knowing the people at NBC, it's a very diverse group of correspondents.
Yes.
And I assume a very diverse group of people behind the scenes in editorial positions that are producers and executive producers. Don't you think that those issues are still going to get covered because of those people if they're truly doing their jobs and
I hope so.
Promoting this coverage?
I hope so. But it's like, one of the big, now that we're into this anti-DEI moment, we hear this a lot from,
I understand.
From people. And I always ask them, I've been in newsrooms long enough now that I remember when it was mostly white men and a few white women and a token black person, and it's like, how are we supposed to know what's going on in those parts of the city if we don't have reporters who live and talk and interact with those parts of the city? And it's like, and these old white farts are not the ones who are doing it. It's going to be the younger people of color, whatever. And so these things might get covered, but if you really want to cover an area, you need people, you need representatives, reporters from all of the different groups that live in that area.
Right.
That's just me.
Nancy, I mean, these ads, I mean, you got to at least give them props. They're using like 80s music. And
they're using the Ramones on an ad for
they're using the Ramones
vaccines. Hey, you don't want to, they're like, hey,
let's go. But I mean,
veer the flu to sideline you. Go get a vaccine.
I heard a Depeche Mode song, and I was like, I was going to actually buy the product, but then I realized it was for hormone replacement, and I'm like, I'm going back to the Smiths. So,
by the way, speaking of young people, we do have a video.
These young Republicans also text each other an array of slurs, jokes about enslavement, disparaging comments about Jews, women, black people, and other minorities. And they knew it was bad because one of them also texted, if we ever had a leak of this chat, we would be cooked for real, for real. But J.D. Vance does not think we should be bothered about their antics. J.D. Vance said, kids do stupid things, especially young boys. No, folks, no, it's true. When I was in Cub Scouts, about 10 years old, me and my troop invaded Poland. Wow. Did not go well. One problem with Vance's logic here about the young boys, despite their name, Young Republicans, to be a member of the group, you have to be at least 18, and some members are up to 40 years old.
I was like, do you remember when Henry Hyde got caught having or it leaked that he had an affair with some woman? He was 41 years old, and he said it was a youthful indiscretion.
Actually, 41 looks pretty young to me at the moment.
I think he was talking about her. Well, we've got a few delays. It looks like coming up here in the old D. It looks like the Gordie Howe International Bridge is going to delay its opening until early 2026. What are we hearing about that? Is it just that it's not passing inspection, or has one of the Maroons decided to pull a Gandhi and lay down in front of the bridge?
Well, it's funny. I've been taking a creative writing class at Wayne State this term. And
why don't I ever see you around campus?
I should stop. I don't know what building your office is in.
I'll DM you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I sit next to a guy who is an electrician who works on the bridge, and I asked him, I thought I'd be riding my bike across the bridge like as the leaves were turning this year, and he said, "Oh, it's going to be another year." So now they're saying it's going to be early next year, but who knows if everything is going to be complete by then. So
tragic. I'm really looking forward to that, because that's going to be my way of getting across to Windsor to have some more butter chicken poutine.
I want to ride my bike across and go get some dim sum down in the whatever, they don't even call it Chinatown. There's so many.
It's guilt-free when you ride your bike.
It is. It's absolutely guilt-free when you ride your bike.
Don't worry, guy. I still feel no guilt. I mean, it's butter chicken poutine. It's my food.
Do you have to pay? I have a question. When you ride your bike, do you have to pay?
I think I read that it will be toll-free for cyclists and pedestrians, and we will. Don't worry, you old geezers. We're going to have a dedicated lane on the outside, so you don't have to slow down for us or anything like that, or watch us. Oh.
I mean, technically speaking, Nancy, I mean, the fares on the bridge are determined by how many axles you have.
I know.
And since bridges don't. But if you do the triple axle as you're going across, you
just pop a wheelie.
I can't let this go. I know a little bit about this bridge because I litigated for the Maroons.
Oh, that's right, you did.
I did, and I'm not ashamed of it. I predicted back then. I'm going to predict. I haven't changed my prediction. This will be the biggest boondoggle for the American side that we have ever seen. It's going to be a disaster. Well, in a million different ways. Do you know when we're going to start receiving any of the tolls for this?
Oh, not until it's built or it's paid out to the Canadians.
Yeah, never.
We're footing the bill for it.
Never. So. This bridge will collapse into the river before the Americans will receive a dime, as the way the deal is structured. But it's going to be a boondoggle for a million other reasons. They have no idea what they're doing, and it is not going to go well. You can be a fan of the Maroons or not a fan of the Maroons. It has nothing to do with it. But this,
when you channel Manny like this, do your eyes roll back in your head like a medium does?
No. There was a reason. Remember, Manny didn't fire me. I left. It's true, and it's because he wouldn't listen to my advice. This has nothing to do with the Maroons. I'm not. I saw a different side of Maddie that many of you did, but it has nothing to do with the Maroons. It has something to do with the reason that this bridge was built in the way that it's going to be run. And America, the American government, Michigan government, made a bad deal when they did this. We'll see.
You're going to tell that to the nerd. That was his deal, but whatever. It's there. It's going to be our bridge.
Have you ever seen me? Have you ever heard me argue about what a great nerd he was?
No.
All I know is the ability to get on the 401 right away and hit that poutine. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you don't have to go. Well, never mind. We can talk about this all day. So
yeah,
let's move on.
Guy, I'm sorry. Guy, go ahead.
No, I'm going to be curious to see whether the traffic volumes justify its existence.
Okay. Well, a little bit of sad news. It looks like the Detroit Noel night is canceled for 2025. I remember going to one. I also remember going to one where there was a little bit of gunfire downtown. But what were the reasons behind that? Because Allan, that's like literally in your front yard.
I was out that night. I actually went to have.
Were you on the grassy knoll that night?
Yeah.
When he heard the gunfire, he stomped the ground like a horse and like a fire horse and ran after it.
Came back from dinner and suddenly the thing was shut down like about 9:30, and you're like, "What the hell is going on?" You realize it's been a shooting. So
Yeah, there were a couple of those that happened.
Here's my feeling about Noel Night. There are two events that I have come to love that I believe are victims of their own success. And one of them is Noel Night, and the other is Dally in the Alley. I remember trying to walk through the alley a couple of years ago, literally elbow to elbow, trying to get something to eat, facing a 45-minute line at a food truck. It's if you get there early, if you time your visit right, it can be great. But Noel Night is just, when I think back on Noel Night, I think about the time that we had to spend like 25 minutes waiting to get into a parking garage, and then even longer to get out of it. So, I mean, there was a lot to love about Noel Night, but I think it's just become one of those things that too many people know about it now. We make Detroit terrifying again and let all these suburbanites just stay home. So that's what
I think that one night they tried.
I know they did. They really did.
But Nancy, aren't you a denizen of a suburb?
I am a suburbanite. I agree to it, but I agree with you. But I like to think.
I was going to say, if you don't like it, then you could get out of town, because now, according to Governor Whitmer, Amtrak is returning to the Michigan Central Station. So on those trips that you take to Chicago, at least you'll leave from a very nice aesthetic building, but you're still going to get stuck somewhere around Gary, Indiana.
Absolutely.
All right. Allan, I know you've got one video that you are still itching to show, so why don't we do that for our last segment?
Yesterday's roundtable event, President Trump criticized CNN and added that the network is, quote, dying like a dog. Well, that's one way to get Kristi Noem to watch.
I was going to say that we could talk about MDOT looking to hold hearings on rules banning people living in their vehicles at rest areas and carpool lots, except I'm pretty sure that they're not living in those vehicles. But that's the best euphemism that I ever heard for it. All right, Allan, let's go to our last segment.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Okay, Guy, have you come prepared with a schmuck, or should you want to ease into the pool by seeing how the rest of us do it?
I live in such a schmuck-rich environment that this was an easy one.
Go for it. Go for it.
Look, this knucklehead, this nitwit in St. Clair County, this is Dr. Remington Neville, comes to town 2 years ago, starts handing out Bobby Kennedy's book, wants to do away with fluoridation in the water. As a proud son of Grand Rapids who has immaculate teeth, who's never had a cavity, and to my knowledge, I've not grown any unusual appendages on my body. It probably did lower my IQ, but that was probably genetically destined anyway. This guy's the schmuck of the week. There is no study saying that in the concentrations in which it's given, that fluoride is a danger to anybody.
You're absolutely correct, and that guy's got a screw loose for sure.
Guy, what high school in Grand Rapids?
East Grand Rapids High.
East Grand Rapids, okay. Because all of my buddies in college who were from Grand Rapids, I agree with you. You people were so dentally perfect. It made those of us who grew up in England feel even more ashamed.
Yeah, our bark is not worse than our bite.
Mentally superior.
Fair enough. Steve, who's your schmuck?
Well, I had mine already, and it's still going to be that until you guys showed the one from the comedy show. J.D. Vance is easily my schmuck of the week. It's just beyond my comprehension. These guys are having, between their racist slurs and their praising Hitler and talking about foreigners. Here his wife is Indian. And what does he say? He says, well, they're a little bit edgy. I think that was the adjective he used for them. And then I happened to see pictures of these guys I think it was in the Washington Post on the website. And I wasn't the least bit surprised at what I saw. They were a bunch of fat white guys who probably never threw a ball across the fucking street, all up there talking shit about everybody else. And almost the same thing as with Trump. What you really want to tell them is, son, meet me in the playground, please, and get your hands up. These guys, I just could not believe looking at these guys. These are the ones that are talking and calling the Jews kikes and talking about Hitler and calling black people who knows what, and then shitting on Indians. And his wife is from India. That to me, He won it easy. This guy that Guy's talking about sounds like he's a hell of a competitor. But J.D. Vance is the vice president of the fucking United States, so he wins it to me.
Mm-hmm.
He must spend a lot of time.
He's like the liaison to the to like the broosphere, I think, or the manosphere. He's because he always makes up these excuses for this kind of behavior.
But we started the show with some of you talking about hormones, and it seems as though for having that kind of brashness, JD doesn't seem to really exude that or secrete that.
He doesn't. Yeah. As the kids say, he doesn't give that. So, but you're right, Steve. It reminds me of the very first time I ever heard Rush Limbaugh, and this was back before Rush Limbaugh was famous. And I listened to him for about 5 minutes, and I said, "This is a fat guy who cannot score with chicks." And he's been married. He got married 4 times. You know, he's or 5 maybe. I don't know, but he couldn't. You know, he was. Anyway,
I thought you were going to start singing "Fat Guy" in a little.
I don't want to fat shame anybody. I can stand to lose a few pounds. So there you go.
Little guy. Okay.
All right. Joel.
Okay, I have 2. One, this is my big rail. I can't stand that the ICE agents are wearing masks. It's so un-American. They represent the government. I need to know who the government is. They're state actors. They have a responsibility to show themselves, responsibility to have fealty to the Constitution, which they don't have. They could be untrained.
And they're not doing undercover work, right?
They're not doing undercover work.
Yeah, these are not agents.
No, and they're not getting the worst of the worst. They're getting people who are working as maids in rich people's neighborhoods.
People who are waiting for their asylum hearings in courthouses.
Whatever it may be.
It's unbelievable.
And so these are not the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst are the exception. The rule is that they're just common people trying to get ahead and doing and helping this nation, being productive in this nation. My second is Steve Miller, who everybody knows is a schmuck. I think if the media really focuses on Steve Miller as the face and the tone as the architect of what Trump is doing, because I think that's what happens, certainly with Homeland Security and rounding everybody up. I think that will go a long way as to making he presents himself is exceptionally repulsive. He gets loud, he gets angry, he cannot make a point. He looks like the villain that he is, and I think the media has to really focus on him.
He and Emil Bove both like wear their personalities on their face. You know,
absolutely.
Really.
So does Stephen Chung. Or Odd Job.
Too. Yeah, exactly.
And it's Stephen Miller. Steve Miller was, of course, known for flying like an eagle. There, Joel.
He's an old man. I love Steve Miller.
Stephen, right?
Bill.
I'm going to agree with Steve, though I came at it at a different angle. I want to go after the Republican Party for deciding that the solution to the young Republicans' racist, bigoted rant in which they talked about using gas chambers on Democrats was to eliminate the officers and reorganize the problem. The failure to confront why these people are doing this means that we're not confronting the problem. You know, the reason these young Republicans are doing this is because this is the popular way to talk amongst the MAGA crowd.
Right.
I don't even call them Republicans anymore out of deference to guys like Guy.
Yeah, I think that's still a little broad, Bill, but I agree that nobody wants to clean out their own barn.
Well, but
do you remember after
Trump cleaning out your own barn? This is, I'm not talking about traditional Republicans. I'm talking about the MAGA crowd.
Yeah.
Amongst the MAGA crowd, this is the way we talk. They talk.
Yeah.
It is popular to talk that way.
I've got plenty of friends that I have heated debates with on a daily basis who don't speak like that and consider themselves part of the MAGA crowd.
Younger ones, though.
I'm sorry, that's too broad a brush.
Do you remember after Trump was reelected in November, and the guy who was, of course, he had to be quoted anonymously saying, "I just want to say retard again." Remember those quotes? Yeah, they like to talk that way. It's very transgressive.
Okay, Nancy.
Okay, I can't believe nobody got to this first. This requires a visual aid. This is Angelo Elia, who is the legislative correspondent for Representative Dave Taylor, Ohio. Note the American flag over Angelo's right shoulder there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, this was on a constituent Zoom, and Dave Taylor has defended him. He hasn't said whether or not the guy's been cut loose or not, but Dave Taylor defended this guy because he said, and I just love this. He said he believes that this was like a hidden symbol. He said it was. And he said the flag at first was indistinguishable from any ordinary flag. He said that somehow, like this, it was like, one of the, when you're a kid and you try to write secret messages with lemon juice and you put a flame underneath it and the white writing blooms on the page. I don't really know what he was thinking here, but he defended him and said, it was vile, but it was not their fault that somehow they were tricked into putting this American flag up on the billboard with the swastika in the middle of it.
When I heard Congressman Taylor say that, Nancy, it reminded me of, of course, the very famous DC defense of "bitch set me up." Except in this case, the bitch was Eva Braun. So, so there you go.
Yeah. So anyway,
Allan.
so those two.
All right, Allan.
I just want to mention real quickly. I watched almost it was, I think, 2 hours of the mayoral debate in New York, and I don't know, Bill, did you watch it? But it was entertaining, And Curtis Sliwell kept mentioning Zoran Mamdani,
Mamdani,
and he kept saying, "So, anyways, Zorhat." And he corrected. I mean, the whole night, it was entertaining. But
oh my God!
Well, that's because he wasn't wearing his own hat, his red beret, and I couldn't recognize him in a suit.
Yeah. So, anyways, my two schmucks, U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan in Alexandria, Virginia, who indicted
Letitia
James when they had particularly Letitia James, absolutely no evidence. Comey's case is totally weak, but she went ahead anyways. And then the other stooge is Janine Pirro, the Fox News woman, who's the U.S. attorney in D.C., who's been trying to overcharge. And the D.C. grand jury's been pushing back and saying, no, we're not going to, including the guy, I think, who threw a sandwich at the National Guard. They tried to get him on some high felony charge.
Felony assault with salami.
Yeah, right.
Less than bodily harm.
Yes, but so it's just scary.
They couldn't even indict the ham sandwich thrower.
Right.
And the proverbial ham sandwich.
They always say you can indict a ham sandwich in the grand jury, and they couldn't do it.
All right. Well, where to begin? Real soon. Real quickly. Number one, the idea of the Arc de Trump on the round table or on the roundabout near Arlington National Cemetery, which will actually block the view of the Custis Lee Mansion from the district if that goes up. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson for still blocking elected Congresswoman from Arizona, Adelita Grijalva's seated in. Saying we're going to wait until after the shutdown. No real reason for that. But the two that I think really caught my attention was one, the man who has been overseeing the nuclear stockpile at the Department of Energy for storing AI-generated robot porn on his government computer has now shockingly lost his security clearance. So we can sleep better at night. 187,000 images over 25 to 30 years work that he put into it. So clearly a lifer. But the idea that I think that now that hopefully is getting scrubbed, the amount of access that we have to government websites, I think is actually going to speed up. The other is the Mariners fan who, at the Dodgers game the other day, got into a bit of trash talking with a Latino Dodgers fan, a man by the name of Mr. Fosado, and said, "Call ICE on him." Well, Shannon Kobylarczyk has now not only lost her job at a law firm, but she's also been fired from the Make-A-Wish board. And of course, she's also been banned for life from the Seattle ballpark, unless, of course, she can make a wish. But we'll see how that plays out. So those are my two major schmucks of the week. Before we close the show, just one thing. Rest in peace, Ace Frehley. I remember one of the first albums I ever bought was Kiss Rock and Roll Over, which I bought it, I have to admit, for two reasons. One, we just moved to America and I wanted to fit in. And the other was because of the really cool stickers that came with the album back then. But passed away after a brain bleed, and his family had to take him off the ventilator yesterday. But I don't know anybody of any kind of music genre affinity who doesn't have at least one Kiss song, even immortalized in a Cheap Trick song, "Surrender," my Kiss records.
Right.
Oh, I didn't realize Steve was still here.
I've heard of him, but I don't know any song of his.
I was just going to say, if it doesn't have David Ruffin on the vocal, he doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah. We're going Sunday night, Four Tops and the Temps at the Fox Sunday night.
Oh,
David
are they going to be in wheelchairs?
There'll be a lot of old people there. The music ain't changed. The music's still the same.
David Ruffin would be able to sing New York Groove and Detroit Rock City, and he would be able to put his own twist on it, and it would be glorious. Well, thank you for another week that wasn't a great show. Thank you, Steve Fishman. Thank you, Bill Seikaly. Thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Guy Gordon, for being here. Thank you, Nancy Derringer, and thank you with the last word always, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely.
Take care, everybody, and have a great week.